Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and brethren. Welcome to this month's Solomon Live. My name is Brody. I have the honour of being the Provincial Communications Officer for the distinguished province of Worcestershire and also the host of these monthly webinars of engaging Freemasonry conversation. So let's welcome our very special guest this evening, Right Worshipful Brother Dato Jeyaraj Ratnaswamy, and this evening, Freemasonry, a unifying tool in the Far East. Sir, how are you?
I'm very good, Brody. Good evening to you. Good evening, brethren and ladies, gentlemen. For some of you, it'll be good morning, whichever way it goes. It's only 2 a.m. over here at this time.
And we've got some very dedicated Freemasons watching us across the world with the different time zone. And sir, you and I know each other now. Do I have permission to call you Raj?
By all means, no worries, Brody.
That is wonderful. By the way, usually this time of year, we're competing against the British summertime, but we haven't got that problem at the moment, Raj, because the weather hasn't been too great. Whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in Kuala Lumpur, actually, at this time.
Oh. And do you mind me asking what the average temperature is this time of year?
Day temperatures could go up to about 36.
Oh, don't rub it in, please. Now, what we like to do, Raj, is get to know you and all of our guests on Solomon Live. So I thought we could begin by doing that first of all. So tell us about your journey in Freemasonry. Why did you become a Freemason in the first place?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Incidentally, if I were to go back, when I first started, I didn't have any idea what Freemasonry is all about. Yeah, it's just that one of the days, my wife's uncle called me and told us that dress up formally and come for a banquet, and off we went, and not knowing that it was the ladies' night. Yeah. Thereafter, a couple of weeks later, he called me. He said, formal interview. I said, what interview? And he said, don't worry about it, just come. In those days, they don't tell you what it's all about anyway. So there I was. I ended up at the interview and absolutely no idea what Freemasonry is all about. Considering that I've been in England for quite a few years and thereafter in Singapore and back to Kuala Lumpur, I didn't even know that such an organization existed. Until I went for the interview, then I noticed some of the people there at the interview and knew them as well. But again, at the interview, they don't tell you anything. And the only questions I could answer were the general questions like, do you believe in God? Do you do charity? And that's it. Do you know anything about Freemasonry? Oops, sorry. Can't help you there. That's how it all started. That's how it was in those days, because nobody tells you what it's all about. You come, and they always say, come into the organization and then find out for yourself. And that's how my journey started. And I joined a lodge called Negri Sembilan Lodge. It's in Seramban. It's about 30 kilometers from where I used to live. It's about 60 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur. And that's where I was initiated. So when you talk about my journey to Freemasonry, yep, it's really, for want of a better word, blindfolded would be the way to go.
So
that's how it started. Yeah.
So those are those humble beginnings. But let's get right up to date. District Grand Master of Eastern Archipelago. What a massive honor to have that bestowed upon you. How did that happen, Raj?
Actually, that's another very interesting question. At the time of the appointment, I was not really sure exactly how the selection processes go. Sometime in early 2015, I was asked by a senior member of our district to forward to him a CV, and that's exactly what I did, both personal and Masonic details. And thereafter, I didn't hear anything until the 13th of December 2015, when I was having a quiet drink with my wife at the Royal Lake Club, and there comes a little email from Graham Redmond asking if I would take up the position. And I confirmed it a couple of days later, and 2 months later, Sir David was there, assisted by Mark and Oliver Lodge and Nigel Brown to do to go through with the installation as a district Grand Master. So to answer your question, really, at that time, I didn't know what the process was. But now, having been in the chair having to look at successors and things like that. I'm quite familiar now with what actually goes on, what are the requirements, what does usually look for in terms of candidates, how they review this, how the Grand Masters Council looks at it. It's a thorough process. Generally speaking, they do rely to a large extent on the recommendations of the District Grand Master, but that is not necessarily the case all the time. They can also independently, I suppose they also know the brethren in the various districts and who can and who may not be able to do the job. And they will at times make their own decisions, if I may say so. But it's a thorough process, I must say. Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine what that was like for you. To get this massive honor when we've just spoken about your initiation and to where you are now. But let's get into the topic. Let's talk about Eastern Archipelago first of all. So describe it to me for those who are uninitiated. How would you describe the district of Eastern Archipelago? Because you are our biggest district out of the 32, aren't you?
That's what I'm told. Yeah, when we talk about Eastern Archipelago, it generally covers, well, at the moment, 3 countries, but it will cover the 4th as well, primarily being Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. Let's not forget that the first lodge in this part of the world, at least the English lodge, Bencoolen, was in Indonesia. We are now in the process of putting together the documents to start another lodge in Indonesia. But Eastern Archipelago District started in 1858. Yeah, and currently we have approximately about 2,100 members with a membership of about 2,800 covering 40 lodges. There will be 41 soon, which gives a healthy average of about 70 members per lodge.
Wow.
Which stands the lodges in good stead. Yeah, some even have more than 100. Yeah, some are slightly less. Yeah. So currently, actually, there are 3 more new lodges to come into the pipeline. But to answer your question, as far as the district is concerned, yes, it covers it. It's widely spread. Like I mentioned before, the furthest the furthest lodge, if I have to travel, will be about 3.5 hours by flight.
When you put it like that, crikey, that's a distance, isn't it?
That's a fair distance. You know, these days in many lodges, you know, when you tell them, oh, you know, half an hour drive to the lodge or 1 hour, they think it's a bit too much. We do cover a fair distance right across. And the brethren, actually, to be fair, the brethren in the district all travel across the country. You will find the brethren from East Malaysia coming across to the west or going to Thailand, Singapore, traveling. So the travel part is something that everybody has got used to.
Yeah.
Although, you know, when we compare with those from the provinces, we actually cover a long distance. I think the other districts that do cover such long distances are South Africa and India and the likes. Yeah. So that's what we are as far as the districts are concerned. We got at the moment registered 40 lodges and 20 chapters to look after. Yeah.
So you mentioned the size of the district and the distance apart when it comes to travelling. What kind of members have you got, Raj? Because we often say, don't we, in the UK especially, our brothers come from all walks of life. Is that the same in Eastern Archipelago?
Yes and no. We must understand the psychic in this part of the world or in Asia in general. Yeah. Yes, our Book of Constitution always talks about anybody being able to join a lodge, and we should not discriminate anyone. But having said that, you know, in reality, there are always some practical criteria that needs to be met. You know, one of the primary things that we have as far as Masonic activities is charity. Yeah. So when we look at a brother joining or an individual joining, we must make sure that he is one of means. You know, it's going to be difficult if he comes and joins in and then he finds that you know, he's not able to assist where there's a call on charity, and we do not want to embarrass them.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, we also have a situation where an individual can be a person of means, but that doesn't necessarily mean the person will be able to stand and talk to everybody, be comfortable with everyone, and so that is another thing that you need to take into consideration. You may have the means, but you may not have that relevant personality that makes you feel comfortable in an environment. See, we have also taken it further. We looked at, we're always trying to engage and bring the ladies to be involved in our activities. So before we look at even a brother, we also have to look at the ladies. We don't want the wives to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
We don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. So to answer your question, yes, anybody can join, but at the same time, these are practical realities that we must address. The person is comfortable, he has the money, he's able, I mean, we don't want somebody to join and then become a burden to the lodge itself. So, and in this part of the world, if you go back time immemorial, even today, to a large extent, it still exists in some parts. It's only who's who in town who joins the lodge or who are invited to join the lodge. I think it's slightly different in the provinces, but here that is the reality. In many of the districts in this part, it's who is who in town. It's slightly lesser these days. In the early days, that's exactly what it was. It was literally who's who in town. Nobody else would be invited. Right. Yeah.
Well, you've explained that beautifully. So thank you very much indeed. Made complete sense. So let's talk about one of those things that I love talking about in Freemasonry, because we often say, don't we, that you can go to a different lodge and the traditions are different. You can certainly go to a different province. What's it like? What are the traditions like in Eastern Archipelago compared to, for example, here in the UK? Some of those wonderful traditions that make you really stand out.
Right. Let me try and break this up into two parts. One's the meeting and then the other is the festival. See, when you talk about the lodges in Eastern Archipelago, each of them have their own culture. Culture derived from those who started the lodge. Like, for example, we have got lodges which were what we call the planters' lodge. They started by the planters. We have the miners as well, so those in the middle part of the country, they were miners, so the minor lodge. So we also have the country lodges. We have the city lodges. All of them have got a different culture of its own. Having said that, we also have, you must remember that we come from a very diverse background, both religiously as well as culturally. Yeah, religiously, we have all your mainline religions are all there. Hindu, Christianity, Islam. And then we also have, when we talk about culture, we talk about the Chinese, the Malays, yes, the Indians, then the Europeans who are here and everybody else. It's a very mixed bag. So when you go to a particular lodge, there are various lodges that have over time evolved and maintained. Like my own mother lodge was the Planters Lodge. So it's a small planters lodge in a country. So it has that feel, that character. When you go into a planters lodge, small community, close community. When you go to a city lodges are quite different. You have a mixed bag of people, and when you talk about culture, religion, you have got just about everybody who's there. So in that sense, they become a much more broader base, so to speak, as opposed to country lodges and and specialized, like I said, planters or miners and the likes. Quite different culturally, each of them, I must say. If you go to East Malaysia, for example, the way the brethren in East Malaysia look at things is quite different. They are very, very close-knit community, very close indeed. That may not necessarily be the case in a city. Yeah. Because in a smaller town, they all tend to get together. Yeah. So in a city, it's quite different.
And you mentioned splitting it up into two categories. Is the other category the festive board?
Yeah. So when you come to festive board again, because of our cultural and religious differences, we have various festive boards. For example, a lot of it will also follow the festivals that are celebrated by the different brethren. For example, the Hindu brethren will celebrate Diwali, the Christians will do Christmas, the Malays will do, during the Hari Raya, they will have. So during those periods, during the festive board, even the type of food that is served will be along the lines of what the festival is going to be. If it's going to be Chinese New Year, for example, it'll be very much Chinese food. And they will have the usual, I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the yisang, but they will have the yisang and things like that. So most of our festive board, the general run-of-the-mill regular meetings, we either have Western or Asian food, round tables, sometimes, you have your lakes. But when it comes to festive period, yes, we're always looking for excuses to party. So that's a good enough reason. We will have, like during the Chinese New Year, for example, we will have the dragon dance coming. I remember Sir David, when he was here, we had the dragon dance, and he was really surprised with what we have. During the Punjabis, when they will have the dole drummings and things like that. So different festivals, different things will happen.
Oh, it sounds wonderful, Raj. Honestly, it really does sound absolutely fantastic. If that's okay with you, Raj, we'll get to our first question this evening. And Jonathan Swift, evening, Jonathan. He says, how does Eastern Archipelago relate to chapter, Royal Arch?
How do they relate? I mean, very closely, I must say. I think in the last couple of years, there's been significant emphasis between craft and Royal Arch. And everyone is making double effort to make sure that all candidates who join the craft end up as companions. In our district, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at this moment, the percentage of conversion, as you would call it, would be about slightly above 50% or thereabouts. But that is primarily because of legacy issues in the past. But from what I gather from our secretariat, these days we have almost 100% conversion. All candidates who become Master Masons will end up being companions in the chapter. See, during the third degree, the chapter representative will also run through his piece, telling them what the next stage is. So it's a continuous process. But Brody, one of the important things is this. I think this is where, if you go back to the past, when we joined Freemasonry or joined the craft, nobody told you about the chapter. They only tell you about the chapter after you have become a Master Mason. Okay, we sort of flipped it on the head. These days, we tell a candidate or prospective candidate from the word go. We tell him during the interview that this is a 4-part series. You don't want to watch a series and finish off in part 3 and not knowing what the conclusion is. So once you put it that way, the candidate knows right from the word go that he's going on to become a companion in the chapter. So there's no excuses of not joining.
No, brilliantly explained, and a great analogy as well, isn't it, with the series? Thank you very much indeed. We'll get back to the questions in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen and brethren. Thank you very much indeed for submitting those. So I think it's fair to say that in the last 20 minutes we've got to know Eastern Archipelago really well. And one of the things that's very important to Freemasons is charity. So let's focus on charity now and the work you do in that area. Perhaps you could tell us about that, Raj.
Okay, charity is one of the most important things that is done not only by the district, but also by the individual lodges. All our lodges are involved in various forms of charity. It can be a one-off charity. It can also be continuous. As far as the district is concerned, on the charity side, we have got 2 foundations that takes care of the educational needs for non-Masons. Yeah, we've got a foundation that's set up in Malaysia, and there's another one in Singapore, and they're doing extremely well. to help those in need. At the same time, we also, for the brethren and their family, we have the District Board of Benevolence. Okay, so those are the three main bodies that looks after charitable requirements. But each individual lodge also, they get involved in their own way. Many of the lodges are involved helping out orphanages, helping out schools, the neighborhood schools, and those type of programs is plenty. Every year, whenever we send the returns to UGLE, we have a very, very long list. But that's at the lodge and at the district level. But just taking it beyond our own district, very often we do get requests, calls on charity when you have major disaster across the world.
Yes.
When we have, for example, when we had flooding, we had earthquakes, the recent earthquake in Turkey, I must say within I think about a matter of 2 weeks or so, we raised about 55,000 pounds. You know, for a small district, that's a sizable sum. Likewise, we also helped out Sri Lanka, we've helped out India, we've done Burma. So yeah, when those type of calls come in, then the district actually coordinates this with the lodges. So when you talk about charity work, there's plenty. Leaving aside the brethren, the ladies themselves also get involved in charitable works. Now that we have brought the ladies, or we tried to get the ladies to be engaged with us, they also do their little part. You know, they get involved in going and visiting children in hospital, presenting gifts, something or other, something that keeps them going. So as I mentioned earlier, charity is one of the main things that we do. So right from the word go, we must ensure that whoever is coming is able to support that initiative. If you can't support that initiative, and when I talk about charity, Brody, I'm just not talking about money.
Yes, yes.
Also,
Time as well.
it's also time. Yeah, people are able to give the time. So some of our brethren actually do, they do breakfast and things like that. So they actually arrange early mornings, they will organize the food, things like that. So time is also a critical part of this whole exercise, time and money. Yeah.
Equally important. Thank you so much, Raj. Back to the questions, actually, and this is a really interesting one because we've spoken about your wonderful district and how diverse it is and how large it is as well. What's been your greatest challenge as district grandmaster to overcome? And this is from Robert Pinchin. Robert, thank you very much indeed. What would you say that is, Raj?
Greatest challenge is to keep everybody engaged.
Yes. Ain't that the truth?
Okay, see, one of the challenges that my predecessors had as well, because we are so spread out. When you want to have them engaged in committees or things that happens, it's very difficult if you expect everybody to fly in for all the meetings. You know, but at the same time, you cannot leave them out. I can't leave somebody who's 3.5 hours away and say, okay, because you're so far away, I can't have you being involved, and then you start getting dropouts. But this is where COVID has come in very handy. You know, with COVID, we had all our virtual meetings coming up. So now with virtual meetings, all our boards generally now meet virtually, and I can get everybody from Thailand all the way to Singapore to East Malaysia. They can all be members of the various committees and be part of the organization. That used to be the difficult part. You know, my predecessors had that challenge in trying to keep everybody together. But at the same time, in trying to keep everybody together, it tended to be concentrated within the city, within either Kuala Lumpur or Singapore or whatever, because of when you call for a meeting, they need to be nearby to be able to travel.
Yes.
Yeah, now we have that. And that's one of the primary challenge, keeping all the members engaged in everything that we do. So one of the other things that I try to do now is most of the positions, when brethren get appointed, I keep them generally only for about 3 years. So that more of the brethren can participate and know what is happening. It's not much use if they just end up being a member of a lodge and thereafter nothing happens. They will also want to know what's happening in the district, how the district functions. Many brethren don't even know how the district functions. We've got a full secretariat, and the boards, etc., etc. But when they are in part of the system, then you will know. They will also know. But also it goes one more step, Brody. It also helps the district Grand Master identify potential leaders, potential successors. Because if we only concentrate on the city, the others, there may be somebody out in the country who's just as capable of being a DGM or ADGM or whatever else. Yeah. So they get left out. So now with trying to get everybody engaged, we are able to identify those who are capable, and also some who are young and capable. We put them through the system to see how they fare. So that's what we do, Brody.
Brilliant. Superb. Thank you, Raj. Richard, or should I say Robert, thank you very much indeed for your question as well. Let's talk about, and this kind of follows on nicely, actually. Let's talk about how you manage the religious and cultural differences across Eastern Archipelago, because one of the things we've learned already is they are vast, aren't they? How do you manage that, Raj?
With great difficulty.
I can imagine, yeah.
You see, like I mentioned, religious side, we've got the mainline religions. Cultural side, again, we have got the various cultures, the Chinese, the Indians, and the likes. One of the common problems that we get in the district is when brethren start thinking, why are only certain individuals from certain cultural group or certain religious group being appointed to positions? Yeah, and I mean, when we talk about appointment to positions, we've got two things we have to bear in mind all the time. One is our geographical spread. Because of the spread, we must try and ensure that brethren from right across the district are appointed in some way or form. Whilst we do that, we also have to make sure, so that takes care of all the lodges across the district. Whilst we do that, we also want to make sure that we take care of all the various cultural groups. We must have a fair balance of Chinese, be it Malays, be it Indians, because if you start to lean towards one particular group, it becomes very unhealthy.
Yes.
And that's when, I mean, sometimes we find that these type of things happen in even at lodge levels. These are things that shouldn't happen. Yes, we try to go on merit, but again, when you talk about appointment by merit, you also have to juggle with this particular issue of cultural differences. Yeah, you may, for example, have all the guys who meet your merit criteria and all of them are Chinese. I'm just using as an example. And if that happens, then it becomes rather biased. Then people do get upset. So what we try to do is, that's the primary challenge, Brody. Trying to manage all of them. Yeah. And very often it's always related to appointments.
Yes.
Very often. Yeah.
That's the one that causes a few issues. And we've also had a few questions actually about, and Jeremy, for example, has asked this: what book is used as the volume of the sacred law for the various ceremonies? I guess that depends on the particular religion, doesn't it, Raj?
Yes. So we have all the books on the pedestal. So depending on the candidate, if he's a Muslim, yeah, then he'll have his Quran. The Christians will have the Bible. The Hindus will have the Gita. Yeah, we have all the various books will be there. So whichever book a particular individual or brother takes his obligation, then that particular book is used. Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. And a few people have asked that question, so thank you very much indeed. Now let's talk about how you work. Your district works with other districts as well. Have you got and we're talking about UGLE districts, have you got a close working relationship with them?
Oh yes, very much so. About 10 years ago, or slightly more than that, our current program master, Jonathan Spence, came over and they started a regional group. So this particular regional group is called the Asian Oceanic Group. So the Asian Oceanic Group covers the districts from India, Sri Lanka, Eastern Archipelago, Hong Kong, New Zealand, all over to Fiji. So with that little group, that group meets once in every 2 years, sometimes 3 years. The COVID years, they got left out. So like recently in June, we had a meeting in Singapore. All the districts were represented by Bengal and Fiji. It gets all the district Grand Masters together, all for us to share our problems and whatever else with UGLE, and also share with one another what the things that we do in our relevant districts. More than that, Brody, what tends to happen because of this close relationship that we have with all these districts. Invariably, for the annual communication or half annual, you will find that the brethren from the other districts all will travel.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, we go across to India, we go to Sri Lanka, or they will come over. It's in that sense, the districts, because of this regional caucus, as we could like to call it, it has built a close relationship amongst all of them. It's a very much an annual affair, very much an annual affair. You know,
that's the way it should be, isn't it? And it's all about it's Freemasonry at its best, isn't it? Coming together, sharing that bond, sharing ideas. I think it's a great thing. So those are the districts that we're closely connected with. What about the local non-UGLE districts? Do you work with them? Do you have a relationship with them?
Yes, very much so. And again, very, very closely. Like in this part of the world, we have the Scottish, we have the Irish, they are all over. In Singapore, we also have the French. Yeah. So what we have done is we have all worked together. And as far as the English is concerned, I have now encouraged them to join, and which they have joined. They sit on the foundation boards because I want them to be part. I would like to look at Freemasonry in this region as a holistic organization. Yes. Yeah, we don't want to run along saying, oh, I'm English, you're Scottish, and things like that. So we like to bring everybody. So even activities, we have a lot of joint activities between the districts. And again, when we come to things like installation meetings and the likes, we always will have representatives of the Scottish, the English, and when they have the installations, we visit them, the NCOMs. So all in all, right from charitable activities to workings, that very, very close relationship amongst all the non-UGLE districts, yes, very much so.
Oh, but that's good to hear. And once again, important, isn't it? And we must talk about an event that you resurrected, by the way, because you and I were having a chat about this the other week, weren't we? We're talking about the Asia Oceanic Conference. You resurrected that in Singapore, included New Zealand as well. What was that like, Raj?
Oh, it was great because of the COVID period, we couldn't have the Oceanic Conference. So this time when we organized it in Singapore, we had the pleasure of the company of Sir David. And we spoke to all the other district Grand Masters, and it was very nice that all of them did come over for the meeting. And like I said, Bengal couldn't join us because they're not available at that time. But what was interesting, Brody, we had a session with our assistant Grand Secretary, together with Sir David and all the rulers from the district. We had a meeting, if I remember correctly, that ran from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock with absolutely no stop.
Wow.
And we are already running, because there's so much to talk. Yeah, so much to talk about, each of them sharing either their problems or encouragement in various ways. And we kept going on and on. And finally, at 1 o'clock, I had to tell them, brethren, we have to stop because we are cutting into the next program. I think if we let them continue talking, they would have sat there for quite a while. But that particular grouping is very, very essential, because one of the things that actually it helps is to have our voices heard in UGLE as a group, rather than the individual district trying to say what it wants to say. Here we have a collective group. Likewise, if they have it in the Africas, they have it in the Americas. Here, so all of us put together, we are putting the document together to be sent up to UGLE, so that UGLE can then appreciate our peculiar, our UGLE and how it's structured at the moment. The various boards are only familiar with what happens in the provinces. nobody is really aware of what happens in the districts. I know our program master has been out here and he travels quite a bit. Our deputy, Sir David, has been out. Peter Jeffrey Lowndes has been out. We haven't seen the other assistants just yet, but I'm sure. But we have never seen anybody else except for some of the DC teams. But we don't see anybody else. So it's very difficult for them to know what we do or what our problems, what our challenges. So when we have a grouping like this, it really helps. Put together jointly, we can then put up and say, look, this is our problem, quite different from what it is in the provinces. And hopefully it gets heard.
Oh, and that's the
last bit is the most important.
It is. And what's it like actually, Raj, when you get the when a ruler comes to visit your wonderful district? What that's like? What is that like for you and the district as a whole? Because it's a massive honor, isn't it?
It is a massive honor, and I must say, our district in particular, we have been blessed in that sense. I think in the last 10 years, we have visitations 5 times by the rulers. I know Program Master Jonathan Spence was out here. Peter Jeffrey Lowndes was out here once. Sir David has been out here 3 times. And
can't get enough of the place.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, but one of the things is, I mean, we all look forward to receiving the rulers. And for the brethren, besides, I mean, yes, there's so much of organizing to be done. That's the pleasurable part, but it's also a big, nice time, a big party. Yes, we do have the serious part. We need work to be done, be it a consecration, be it whatever it is, the meetings. But after that, we have the formal banquets, the after parties, and that goes a long way. And I must say, to be fair, Brody, all our rulers have been absolutely great when it comes to brethren. They actually sit, they talk. I still remember a couple of years ago when Sir David, we were coming down the lift and going into a banquet. And I told Sir David, I said, would you like to go into the VIP holding room? He said, no, I would like to go and talk to the brethren. And off he went. And likewise, the rest of them. And they also all stay for the after party. And that's when they get to know the brethren very well. And I mean, sometimes I do really feel sorry for them because they are so tired. I mean, it's always a long day, they are so tired. But given that they still give the time, the listening ear, sometimes they're half the eyes are shutting, but they still listen to the brethren. And when they leave, see, it leaves a fantastic impression with the brethren. And that's why whenever we talk about the brethren from the district visiting the what you call annual investiture, more often than not from the districts, from district point of view, I think we have the largest delegation.
Oh,
we have 20, we have 20, 30 people because the brethren are happy, they love to come. So it cuts both ways. And believe you me, having our rulers here is great fun. Great fun. At the same time, there's the formal part. Yes, we go through the formal part, but it's the other thing that, I mean, besides the brethren, Brody, let's not forget, they also interact with the ladies.
Of course.
Yeah, and ladies generally don't get a chance to talk to the rulers. Here they actually sit down and have a good yarn with the rulers. It's a fantastic relationship. Fantastic relationship.
And Raj, it's also a massive honor for them to visit any district, especially yours as well. So I think it's a mutual thing as well, isn't it? I've just had a look down, by the way. We've got around 5 minutes left. This has gone so quickly, which is usually the case with Solomon Live. So a few questions to speak to you about.
Okay.
What overall, you could probably give me a list as long as your arm here, I should imagine. But I should imagine that Eastern Archipelago embraces other orders as well as chapter.
We've just about got everybody here.
Yeah.
From the Mark to the OSM, the AMDs, Royal Order of Scotland, Rose Choir, Knights Templar, the latest being Attelston. So by and large, I think we've got everybody here. And those that meet primarily, say in KL, most of them are actually based in Kuala Lumpur. We all meet in the same premises. At the end of the day, it's the same people anyway. Yeah, so we get along very, very well. I mean, one of the common ones where we actually have another order being involved is during installations, when we have the installation of a worshipful master who is, for example, a member of Knights Templar. The Knights Templar, Knights Malta will put on their regalia and they'll do the guard of honor. You know, so things like that do happen. So we do have a close relationship all the time. Yeah, we do meet. Yeah, we do meet and also discuss. We do meet with their rulers and also discuss how to meet. Our common challenges are when meetings start clashing with one another because we got so many lodges. Yeah.
Well, thank you for answering that, Raj, and thank you to those of you who asked that question as well. How is Freemasonry perceived by non-Masons in the district in Eastern Archipelago? Non-Masons now.
Yeah, good question. The problem is because by and large, in the days gone by, it remained very secretive. Nobody talked about Freemasonry. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, I didn't even know what Freemasonry was all about. So the primary problem we have here is awareness, lack of awareness throughout, you know, and even now we have, I mean, those, for example, the Muslims, because they think we are closely associated with Israel, we are Zionists, and we are up to all kinds of things. The churches, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, you know, you'll be surprised as much as very often we talk about the Islamic effect. I also found that my own vicar didn't even know about Freemasonry, and many of his own members were all Freemasons. So the awareness in the public domain is where we are lacking. But this is where COVID did help. During the COVID period, because of all the work that was done, giving of food, medicines, and things like that. And the brethren, when they did that, they did across the board. Yeah, there was no religious bias or cultural bias. Anybody who needed help got their assistance. So people begin to know. So we had a little bit of coverage in the newspaper and things like that. So what we really need to build on is awareness. There is still, Brody, I must tell you, we talk about those who have gone through university and working. One of my friends who runs a legal firm, he brought together all his staff who are 30 years old and thereabouts and asked them, tell me about Freemasonry. You won't believe it. None of them knew about Freemasonry. That is the problem because people do not know what we do. So we need to bring them. We should be proud to be a Freemason. Yes. You know, I'm not saying stand out there and blow your trumpet, you know, but by and large, if somebody says, are you a Freemason? You must be able to say, yeah, I am a Freemason. Would you like to come and visit the lodge? I do take, you know, I do take people across to the lodge and let them have a look at it and they say, wow, this is something, you know, can I know more about it? And that's how it works. Awareness is the problem, Rudy. Awareness.
But that leads me to my final question. Can you believe it? One more question to ask. And sir, I knew this was going to be fantastic. I could talk to you all night. So thank you very much indeed. So what are your priorities for Freemasonry in Eastern Archipelago moving forward? We've talked about awareness. We're currently, of course, usually working on our 7-year strategy, something we're taking very seriously. What would you say your priorities are moving forward in addition to awareness?
Okay, besides awareness is membership.
Yes,
we have to do a membership drive. Like if we look at our membership very, very briefly, 50% of our members or 47% of our members are above the age of 60. All right, and another 40 to 42% are between 40 and 60. We've got, and then below 40 we've got very small numbers. So what happened over the last 20 years or so? There was no emphasis on trying to get members. So we ended up with a gap. So now we need to fill the gap. So our membership department, our membership president of the in charge of membership, they need to drive. So they've actually set up membership groups across the district in groups, and they will actually have programs. Like we are having one tomorrow, where every 2 months, one of the lodges in Kuala Lumpur will take charge, and they will have an introductory night. So like tomorrow we have got, I think if I'm not mistaken, 70 or 80 people coming for the introductory night. So from there, whenever we have the introductory night, we also make sure that we also request that they bring their wives or partners so that they all are aware of what they're getting into. And so we keep driving this. We should be okay because our numbers, as you know, even at UGLE level, the numbers are going down, has gone down. But having said that, it cannot be one where we're just running for quantity and not quality. The quality part is an integral part, because you make a mistake in that, you're going to have a lot of problem. I have generally suggested to all the brethren, very simple equation. Just bring one member every 5 years. You know, if I have two,
that's achievable.
Yeah, if we got 2,000 members, you know, if they just bring one, be it a nephew, the son, friend's son, or somebody like that, we'll be able to. So the focus going forward at this time will be, besides awareness, has got to be membership. Yeah, it has to be.
Well, look, sir, what a wonderful way to end our conversation. Have you enjoyed your Solomon Live experience?
I have, most surely, Brody. I wish I could have a few more hours to talk, but unfortunately, no, but never mind.
Leave them wanting more, that's what we say. Sir, it's been an absolute privilege to talk to you. Thank you, Raj, for joining us on our Solomon Live. And ladies and gentlemen and brethren, please put this date in your diary. Our next Solomon Live will be Tuesday, the 5th of September, where our topic will be the theatre of Freemasonry. Now, as Richard is at the heart of Freemasonry, Grand Director of Ceremonies for the United Grand Lodge of England, a very worshipful brother, Charles Hopkinson Woolley, will be revealing the secrets of a good ceremony and the importance of the Redmond test. So that will be Tuesday, the 5th of September, 7:30, of course, UK time. And if you haven't done so already, please register for Solomon. You'll find us at solomon.ugle.org.uk, full of useful and fantastic content for your daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you back here very, very soon. Good night, everybody.